Okay, so we are all done arranging the lights the way we want them. We got them all zip tied, wire tied, whatever you want to call it, onto the branches, the sprigs, and so now I'm ready to start putting it up on the car. So I'm going to disconnect the lights, and I got my bench over here, my step stool arranged, and this one here is a heavy tree, but I'm able to handle it on my own. If you got a heavy tree, or if you're not able, it's too bulky for you, you might want to have another person helping you. And so what we're going to do is lift it up and lay it up on the roof. Climb up here and
That is never going to get out of the garage.
arrange it, and then I kind of, when we were putting the lights on, I kind of decided where I wanted to have which side I wanted to have sticking up, so that we had the best appearance on both sides as people drove by, or people standing on the street waving at you, and you want to give a good impression with it. So I think I've got, this looks like the side I want on here, and then the key here now is that we want to have the tree so that branches are tucked up underneath these crossbars. And by doing that, that helps keep the tree on the car. We just don't want to lay it up here. What we want to do is tuck branches up underneath. So I put the tree a little bit forward of where it's really going to be. And then I lift it up, and I take some of the branches, and I slide them underneath the crossbar, and then slide the tree back. And keep in mind, you want to have that stump forward on the car, because these branches will then, with the wind, will be pushing their natural tendency, pushing the direction they grow. If you were to put this tree on backwards, or put it on the correct way and go backwards down the road, these branches would be going like this. And if you've ever seen anybody go out and cut their own Christmas tree and they're going down the highway and they got it on the roof wrong, you'll see the branches just flopping around like that, and you don't want that.
No, then you get home with Charlie Brown's Christmas tree.
So I've got these front branches tucked underneath. I've got the stump sticking out towards the front of the car, and it's sticking out about even with the front of the roof, or the front of the front of the roof, the top of the windshield. And then I go back here and I do the same thing. Is I take some branches and I tuck them underneath that crossbar, and that's going to help prevent the tree from just flying off of the car. And while you're doing this, you want to kind of make sure that the center line of the tree, the trunk to the tip of the tree, is down the center of the car. And so what I do is I come back here and I just kind of look at it, kind of center it, and then I come around the front, take a look, and it looks centered. Come over here. And you could stand here and look down the center, and you see the tree has got that nice even roundness on top. And we'll do some tweaking. Remember, we got to tuck it down a little bit for going in and out of the garage. But it looks centered between the two sides of the vehicle, and it'll look very nice when we're done. Okay, so now I've got my longer zip ties, because these are going to go around branches. And so, for example, we want to push this down a little bit. So what we're going to do is wrap this around this big branch here and go down inside and grab some other branches. And what we're going to do is zip tie them around some branches buried down in there. And by zip tying that, that's going to hold these outer branches tight with the inner branches, and it's going to push our whole tree down so that we can back in and out of the garage. Drive in, back in, whatever we do when we park. And we can do some trimming as you're going along, find things that you don't want on there. And then these branches that I tucked up underneath, those are outer branches, and I'm going to do the same thing underneath here. Is I'm going to come underneath, grab some of them bigger branches from the inside and the outer branches, and I got to feel my way around in here, but it'll work. In fact, this particular Fraser tree is so soft, you don't really need to even wear gloves. But if you get down in there, feel your way around a bunch of branches and put a zip tie around it. And what that does is that holds the tree, using the branches, that holds the tree in place around your cross rack, your rack on top of your roof. That way, if you slam on your brakes, the tree isn't going to slide off the end of the car. And it'll hold the tree on there when you're going 80 miles an hour down the highway. So, here's a perfect example. We've got our cross member here going across, and we've got some inner branches, some outer branches, and we're just kind of pulling them together on the back side of the cross frame. And what we're doing is we're just kind of bundling them together, the stuff that's underneath and the stuff that's above it, so that holds it on the roof. That holds it to our frame. And I zip tie it, and I do a pretty tight job. I don't want to snap the branches or twigs, or I don't want to break these off by pulling it too tight, but I want it tight enough that it won't slide off as we're driving down the highway. And if you look here, you see how that's then snugged in there, so the frame here is holding the tree on now good. And we go along, and here's some branches up here that are sticking a little high, so I grab a little bundle of them, and I reach down inside and grab a branch that's pretty stout, and then I zip tie around all of that. And again, because it's a Fraser fir, it's a very soft tree to deal with. Some of the more prickly ones, they're a hassle. You got to wear gloves, and your arms itch, and all of that. And you see here now I've got that bundle down in there, and I left a couple smaller ones loose up here. They're going to be low enough to go under the garage door. And I'll do the same thing all along the top here, and I'll do all of this around the framing on both sides of the car to make sure that she's held on there really tight. Okay, I've got the branches all zip tied down, and here's one, a zip tie that's sticking out. So what I want to do is I want to take that and turn that in so the zip ties don't show. And because they're green, they're hard to see them, so which is good for decorating. Now what I'm going to do is, just for added safety, to make sure the tree doesn't slide forward off the car, or when we're going down the highway it doesn't pop loose and flop up in the air and fly off the car. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach a bungee cord. You can get these at your hardware store. And I'm going to attach it to my rail, go around my rail, and I'm going to hook it on itself. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to run this through the branches here, and nobody will see it. And I'm going to run it through the branches and put it over on the other side and hook it to the rail on the other side, and just for added protection, added security. And if you look here, you can't see where I put it, and that'll be the same way on the other side. Okay, I just showed you that I put that bungee cord through there, and now I'm on the other side of the car, and I grab a hold of that bungee cord and I pull it tight, and then I'm going to wrap it around the tree trunk, You got to do a little digging, but you'll find it. And pull the bungee cord through, take up the slack, pull it through, and then I'm going to come down inside these branches here, find my rail, and hook it onto my rail so that the tree doesn't slide forward or backward, doesn't fly off the car. And there we go. And if you look, you can't even see the bungee cord. Now I used a green one because everything up here is green except for the lights. And I just wanted it to kind of blend in. You can use a black one. I mean, heck, you could use yellow, red, whatever you want. But just a long enough bungee cord to go from one side of the tree on the rail, wrapped around the trunk of the tree, and then down and attached to this side of the tree, hooked to the rail on the roof. Okay, I'm going to do another bungee cord back here on this rail to hold the top of the tree down as well. Just again for added safety. And these bungee cords, they're the elastic ones. You can use the old traditional rubber style with the metal clips. Doesn't matter, just any bungee cord. And these look to be, oh, I'm guessing that's probably about a 2-foot one. You can use longer ones, just wrap them more around the tree trunk. And again, I'm down inside here where you can't see it. And pull it up through, and we're going to go around the tree trunk up here. And just, it's good to wrap it around the tree trunk, because that way if you put it around just the branches and expect it to hold, the branches may break off as you're going down the highway. So by wrapping it around the trunk, you got a good hold.